Archaeology, uncovering the past and its dark secrets. Archaeology is the study of who we are and who we may become. While it sounds noble, digging up the past can sometimes reveal chilling discoveries. Recent findings range from horrifying sacrifices to artifacts frozen in time. Here are 5 discoveries that remind us the human story isn't always beautiful. 1. The mystery of spines on sticks, Peru. Archaeologists working in the Chincha Valley on the southern coast of Peru uncovered a bizarre collection of 192 human spines strung on reeds. These spines, belonging to members of the Chincha culture 1000 to 1400 CE, were oddly arranged, not in their natural order but like mismatched bone necklaces. The Chincha people thrived for centuries before being absorbed into the Incan civilization. Their funerary traditions involved placing bodies in above-ground tombs called chopas, usually in a fetal position and intact. However, these remains have been disturbed and then reassembled in a hurry. Historians believe this happened during European colonization when explorers brought deadly diseases, leading to a devastating famine. The Chincha population fell from 30,000 households in 1533 to fewer than 1,000 by 1583. Grave robbers likely looted their tombs for valuables like gold and silver, leaving behind disordered skeletons. The surviving Chincha people may have tried to reassemble their ancestors' remains so they could rest in peace. 2. The headless burials of Roman Britain. In January 2023, workers in Winteringham, England, preparing a new housing project, uncovered the remains of an ancient settlement. The site contained 40 houses, roads, farms, kilns, and a grain mill, spanning nearly 1,000 years from the late Iron Age to the Roman occupation, 500 BCE, 400 CE. Among the findings, archaeologists discovered a disturbing pattern. 17 decapitated bodies. 11 had their skulls placed at their feet, while some had clay pots where their heads should be. These burials date back to the late 3rd century, during Roman rule in Britain. Experts suggest several theories. One possibility is that these were criminals, buried separately as a form of public shame. Decapitation was a common Roman execution method, and placing skulls at the feet may have been a final humiliation. Another theory suggests this was a common burial practice at the time, possibly based on superstition or fear of the dead rising. Similar headless burials have been found in other Roman sites across Britain, but the exact reason remains a mystery. 3. The lead coffins beneath Notre Dame. In 2022, during renovations at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, workers uncovered 2 lead coffins beneath the floor. Alongside them were various sculptures and artifacts from the 13th century. One coffin belonged to Antoine de Laporte, a 16th century church official who funded renovations and commissioned paintings that now hang in the Louvre. His brass plaque provided his name and date of death, December 24, 1710. The second coffin contained an unidentified man with a deformed skull and no teeth. Experts believe his skull shape resulted from an aristocratic practice of binding infants' heads to create an elongated look. He was likely a knight, as his bones showed signs of frequent horseback riding. Strangely, a flower crown was found around his head, an uncommon burial tradition. While researchers continue studying his remains, the French Cultural Ministry would decide their final resting place. For the largest child sacrifice in history, Peru. In 2011, archaeologists near Trujillo, Peru, began excavating a 3,500-year-old temple. Within weeks, they discovered mass graves containing 42 children and 76 llamas. As they continued digging, the numbers kept growing. By the end of the excavation, over 140 children aged 5 to 14 had been found, making it the largest child sacrifice ever recorded. Their remains showed signs of ritual killings, with rib cages cut open, likely for heart removal. The bodies were covered in red pigment and placed facing the Pacific Ocean, while 200 sacrificed llamas, under 18 months old, were positioned facing the Andes Mountains. These sacrifices are performed by the Chimu civilization, 1400 to 1450 CE, possibly as an offering to appease the gods after a natural disaster. Evidence of flooding from that period suggests they may have believed this mass sacrifice would stop the disaster. Another theory suggests it was an attempt to gain divine favor in war, as the Chimu were being conquered by the Inca Empire around this time. 3 adults, likely responsible for the ritual, were also found with fatal head injuries, suggesting they were executed after completing their gruesome task. 5. The discovery of the Endurance, Antarctica. In March 2022, history was made when the legendary ship Endurance, belonging to explorer Ernest Shackleton, was found at the bottom of the Antarctic Ocean. It had sunk over 100 years ago and was located 3,000 meters, 10,000 feet, underwater, perfectly preserved. In 1915, Shackleton and his 27-man crew attempted a daring expedition to cross Antarctica. Their ship, Endurance, was supposed to drop them off before returning home. However, before reaching the continent, the ship became trapped in thick sea ice. Despite months of effort to free it, the ice crushed Endurance, forcing the crew to abandon ship. Fortunately, the captain had carefully recorded the sinking coordinates, which helped modern researchers locate the wreck. A team from the Falklands Maritime Heritage Trust used sonar, high-tech cameras, and deep-sea probes to find the ship after 2 weeks of searching. The ship remains incredibly intact because the icy waters prevent the usual bacteria that break down wood. Now resting on the seafloor, the Endurance serves as a time capsule, with coral and sea anemones as its only new inhabitants. The shipwreck is protected as a historic site and will remain undisturbed for future generations to study. Final thoughts. These archaeological discoveries remind us that history is filled with both incredible and terrifying events. Whether it's spine-covered reeds in Peru, headless Roman burials, mysterious coffins under Notre Dame, heartbreaking child sacrifices, or a perfectly preserved shipwreck in Antarctica, each finding brings us closer to understanding our past and how it shapes our future.